I continued to hear from some of my constituents in very diverse areas in Michigan about some very lengthy, very intrusive screenings that they get every single time they travel. They're pulled aside. And certainly maintaining a safe and secure aviation environment is paramount. We have to keep us all safe, but you also have to protect civil rights of law-abiding travelers. And it's a very delicate balance. The Department of Homeland Security always has to balance the rights of individuals with also keeping us safe. But to that end, I think it's important for us to be conscious of what's happening and to track what's happening. And so I want to acknowledge first that I know it's difficult to track information related to wait times prior to screenings, the length of screenings, the demographics of passengers that are being pulled aside, as well as secondary screening complaint data. But my question to you is do you believe that there's room for expanding the collection of data and sharing it with appropriate congressional committees and civil society groups so we get a better handle as to what is exactly happening at these inspection sites?
One of the requirements of the TSA Modernization Act, as you, I believe, know, is in order for us to be able to report wait times across all locations. So we are actively working along with airports to reach that goal. In many locations, we are already in positions where we're demonstrating some of that process today. As to some of your other questions, I would say we are incredibly welcoming of input feedback across communities. We have a coalition that looks at multicultural issues, disability issues, others who need assistance or may have difficulty at our checkpoints. We regularly meet with them, including we have a meeting later this month here in Washington, as well as around the country. And sir, we'd be happy to come if you would like to your district to meet with any of your local constituents as well. That community has provided us invaluable information. Their individual stories, pieces of information they have been able to pass has enabled us both to do some explanation and behind why we do certain things, but it's also enabled us to change our processes, methodology, how we teach our officers to conduct certain checks in recognition of what people have experienced. That information is invaluable to us.
So one of the processes that you have to address people who are experiencing difficulties is the DHS trip process, as you know. I hear from my constituents that they're very dissatisfied with that process. So I'd like to have your assessment as to possible ways that we can expand or strengthen TRIP to make it more user-friendly and make it one that actually works as intended.
We continue to look to change the language in the letters that are responded to be as informative as possible. Quite often what we find is that the number one issue people write in about is a belief that they are on a watch list. Quite often, that is not the reason that they received additional screening. So sometimes that explanation can be a little convoluted, and I think we can continue to improve on how we try to explain the different factors that can result in someone having additional screening. This is something that is not intuitive to a large portion of the traveling public, and we recognize that. An example of how we've tried to address that is we actually have videos up on our webpage to tell people this is what you should expect when you come for screening. We have also tried as many possible ways to find how we can interact with individuals in addition to formal letters to get to the root cause, what they might be seeing, what they are perceiving. There are instances where we can link up that person with a passenger screening specialist as they come to the airport that will provide them additional assistance and explanation to process through.